Welcome to Microsodes. Welcome to the very first episode of Microsodes. That's right. This is the podcast that gives you 30 minutes of unadulterated fun, laughter, and some good old-fashioned movie reviews. I'm Bobby, the resident cinephile.
And I'm Ashley, a movie novice.
Okay, so before she met me, she hadn't seen a whole lot of movies. So there's going to be movies on here that are going to be some classics that we've already watched and we have coming up for you guys. And there's obviously we're trying to do new movies as well. And then we'll also take some recommendations too as we start moving along.
Correct.
And as always with us is our special catespondent, Stella the cat. She may or may not meow or chime in on today's podcast. If she does, tell her hi back.
She's very cute.
There it is. All right. So as this is our first review, we're just going to go over a little bit about how we're going to score it. So we have 5 main categories, and each category has a rating of 1 to 5. So 1 being absolutely horrendous, 5 being, wow, that was Academy Award worthy, or somewhere along that.
Yes.
Okay. And so we'll rate that, and then we'll give the movie an overall rating, and we'll say if we recommend it or maybe it's something that you should skip.
Exactly.
Okay. So really quickly, just going to go over the criteria that we have for our reviews. The first category is going to be the story. It refers to the overarching narrative of a movie encompassing the central characters, their motivations, the setting, the key events, and the theme of the film, which is basically the who, what, where, when, and why.
Awesome.
Did you want to do the second one?
Sure.
Okay.
The second one is on acting. So it's kind of the actor's portrayal of the fictional or non-fictional character, and if they are believable, if they kind of embody the character physically, emotionally, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay. Hit him with the et cetera. I like
Yeah.
it. All right. The third category is writing and dialogue. So it's the written portion of the script. Not a whole lot of improv or anything else like that. It's just, hey.
Like the writing.
Yeah. Hey, how did this story go? Was it good?
And not the story specifically, but like
Right.
the dialogue.
Right. Sorry. I kind of said that twice, but yeah, the writing really
The writing
is,
of it, yeah. Like the actual words that are written on a page.
Right. Does it make sense? Do you understand what the characters are saying? Did they say something throughout an entire movie and then the character says something right at the end and you're like, why did they write that?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. The next one?
The fourth option?
Yeah. Category.
The fourth category is direction, which refers to the creative or artistic representation of the director's vision of the movie. So it can include, I don't know, the way they film certain scenes, like multi-camera, single camera, or overhead drone shots, I think.
I think it's not only is that, is the making sure that the story's like continuity is in there, making sure that it makes sense to the audience. Is it filmed in a way that actually makes sense when you're watching it as a story, or is it all disjointed and you're like, why did they even have that scene in there?
Yes.
Who's directing this?
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of what you're going for with directors, right?
I agree. Yes.
Okay, and then we're going to get to Ashley's favorite category, so I'm going to let her read this one as well.
Oh, I get to read 3?
That is, hey.
How exciting.
That's it.
So the last category is on visuals. So it's like the look and feel of the film. Particularly for me, I don't like movies that are super dark because then I can't see what's going on, and I like being able to see what's going on.
Makes sense.
So my main focus on visuals is brightness or darkness. However, it also includes if there are any kind of metaphors or scenes that look appealing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're trying to, they can film things in visuals at can propel a story or hold it back. If all the colors are wrong or it doesn't seem like the movie's set in the 1950s, but everything kind of looks like it's from the 80s, or the wardrobe isn't really great. Like the overall visual appeal,
Yeah.
is going to be a little bit negative, I would think.
Yeah.
And so for me, so that's what Ashley really likes. For me, I kind of like more, I mean, I'm an 80s kid, so growing up with things like Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Predator, Aliens, etc. It really is, for me, I like practical effects. I'm not a huge CGI person. And so if you can either give me the blend of the two, or if you can just use something that's believable.
Correct.
Because when people are jumping off buildings on one leg and it definitely looks like they aren't going to make it, but somehow they still make it, I'm like, well, you just ruined the believability of your own movie.
Or when they hang onto a helicopter attached to a semi-truck with a chain.
Listen, that movie's all about family, okay?
Yeah, that rotator cuff is made of steel.
So yeah, those are the overall criteria. We'll just go back and forth category to category, and then we'll give you the overall of what each one of us thought. And please, if you're listening to this, like, comment, let us know what you thought about the movie if you decided to see it, or if you listened to this and you said, hey, based upon your recommendation, I'm not going to watch that. That would be cool. So any feedback is always appreciated.
Yes.
Awesome. So without further ado, we're going to get to Salem's Lot. That is a new movie that came out in 2024. It's a Max original. What we're going to do is Ashley's going to watch the trailer. Then she's going to tell us what she thinks the movie's about. Then I will read exactly what the movie's about.
So
and then
you actually know what the synopsis is?
Exactly. And then also I'm just going to include, because I think it's helpful to include some of the different information for it. So I'll also list all the platforms where it's currently streaming, and then who wrote and directed it, and the distributor, and also the genre. So that way, I mean, some people have friends, family members that don't really like horror or are going to be scared at something, even if you might think it's silly. So maybe this isn't a movie for them. So it's just always a good thing to include that information, I think.
I agree.
The distributor was Warner Brothers, so kind of in that same Annabelle creation and all those different kinds of movies. Yep. The platforms were Max, Hulu, Amazon, the Roku channel, and YouTube TV. So those are all the streaming platforms where you could watch this movie.
Yeah, and what you can do is you can send us an email and guess which one we watched it on.
Exactly.
I'm kidding. Who cares? No one cares. We watched it on Max.
I think it's since it's a Max original, I think you might have to pay for it on other streaming platforms. I'm not 100% sure, but I did at least give you a couple different places where you could watch it. It was made in 2024, and the genre is horror and mystery.
I would give it a horror mystery, right?
Yeah.
The trailer made it look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we get to the trailer,
yes,
this podcast could be sponsored by
Monster Energy drinks. It's something that I drink every single day. And here is a 5-star review from a person named Sassy Racing 79. This is
her real name?
That's her real
screen name. Sassy lady.
Sassy Racing 79.
Sassy Racing. I got it.
This is my go-to when I need to pick up an energy. The flavor is great with no aftertaste. It gives me the boost I need to get. It gives me the boost I need to get what I need to get done. Thank you for that, Sassy Racing 79, and I agree with that statement as well.
And they are very tasty. I've had them.
Oh, okay.
I used to drink them.
Oh, there you go. All right. So now is the time that you're going to tell everybody about...
Oh, yes. About the trailer?
Correct, because we just got done with Monster Energy drinks.
Correct. After watching the Salem Slot trailer, it seems very interesting. There were parts of it that reminded me of the Conjuring series. Series? Is that what you'd call it? Family?
Yeah, I guess it would be the
Universe?
Yeah.
The Conjuring universe. And then, right as I thought that, immediately it pops up the screen from the producers of The Conjuring. So I thought that was pretty cool. It looked like it was about some kind of evil source.
Okay.
There was a lady sitting, or a man. To be honest, I'm not sure. It was a human being underneath a sheet in a morgue.
Yes.
And it sat up
Yes.
and turned to them.
Yes.
With a weird voice. So, based on my interpretation, it was like they were possessed by something.
Okay. Just so you guys know, this is Salem's Lot 2024, Max original, not to be confused with the 1979 miniseries Salem's Lot, or
the Stephen King novel.
or the Stephen King novel that was written in 1975.
1975. So they made that miniseries 4 years after it came out?
Yeah, because everybody was like, oh, wow, this is probably be pretty good.
Wow. We should compare the two.
Okay, we shall. All right, so that's what you think this is about.
Yeah, it seems very interesting.
Okay, so here's the synopsis. It is author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire.
Ooh.
So, pretty good. Pretty good. All right.
Wait, was that the end?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay.
That was the end of that synopsis. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and pause this, and then we're going to watch the movie.
We will see you after the break,
show.
After the show.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
We'll see you after the show.
That's pretty good. And we're back. Okay, so overall, interesting. Let's go with we're going to start off with the story. Did you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I would like you to go first.
Okay. And just as a quick reminder, story is the who, what, where, when, and why for a movie that we're reviewing. So I gave it an overall of 2.8.
For story and plot?
Yeah. I just thought the character development in the movie was kind of, I don't know, it didn't really hook the audience in. At least for me, there was no reason for Ben to go back home. Like, I understand he's looking for inspiration, but they didn't really say like what happened with his other book other than that girl was reading it and then he was kind of a fraud. But I don't understand why he went back there without knowing anyone or thinking anything else about it. And like I said, a lot of the characters were just kind of throwaway characters. Like if they got killed, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Except for that kid, Jordan Preston Carter, who plays Mark. That kid was awesome.
I agree.
Okay. So anyway, that's for me. That's kind of the notes that I took down on it.
Okay, and you gave 2.8 for the direct or for the story?
For the story.
Okay. I gave the story in this a 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
However, I think I was judging very differently.
Okay.
So I gave the story a 4, and I wrote because it was based on a Stephen King novel.
Right.
And
okay.
he always writes good things.
Sure.
Now, the story was interesting. If I think about it as an overall, like, okay, this vampire comes to town and messes up this whole
Remember
city.
now, we're not supposed to be...
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
I'm not going to say... that. We also, on this podcast, you should know, we are not going to post any spoilers.
We're going to attempt not to.
We're going to attempt not to, but we'll edit them out.
Yeah.
Or we'll give a spoiler warning. But as of now, we will not be telling any spoilers.
No. So you like that the vampire came to town if you're taking it from like kind of a wider angle.
Yes. So the whole story with a vampire coming to town, wreaking havoc on a city or a town, and then kind of, I don't know, going away. I'm not sure.
No, he was still there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, the story as a whole, if I think about it, yeah, I guess now it would be like maybe a 2.5 or 3. But I guess,
Well, you got to stick by what you say.
yeah, but thinking about it as it was written in 1975, I
Right.
might say like, oh, it may have been ahead of its time. But for now, if you're watching movies these days,
Yeah.
maybe I'd give it a 3. I gave it a 4, but maybe I'd give it a 3.
Okay. So you could be swayed to give it a different score. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you change it, then you can just do a different average if you'd like.
Okay.
Fair enough. Okay. Next is acting. And I'll let you go first on this one.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, great. Okay. So for acting, I also gave a 4.
Okay. Man, this is going to be a great movie for one person. And I guess we weren't watching the same movie.
Well, we have to get to the end
Okay.
to know.
Okay.
Okay. So the characters I don't think were relatable at all. I don't think any of them were, except the young boy who's like the main child. I don't know. He's like 13.
He's the kid that I just mentioned, the Jordan Preston Carter.
Yes.
I mentioned him in mine too, so we'll be on a little bit on the same page on that.
Okay, so I think the other characters weren't relatable. They didn't really have a good backstory.
Right.
I mean, even what's his name? Jordan.
Yeah, I'm just Jordan Preston Carter.
Jordan JPC.
Yeah, might as well just say that from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So JPC also didn't really have a whole huge backstory either. However, his actions felt more relatable than a lot of other characters in the movie and a lot of other characters in other movies, because I specifically remember this one scene where he was in his bedroom and there was another boy outside. And I can say this because it was in the trailer.
Okay, cool.
One of his friends was outside his window.
Well,
and
they don't know that from the trailer.
Yeah, it was in the trailer.
Well, they don't know if it's his friend or not.
Oh, man. Okay. Spoiler. It was a child. It was a child in the window, and he was luring him to open the window. And he was starting to get into a trance. And what he did after that felt more relatable than some other scary movies.
Yeah, I agree.
So I really liked him as a character, and also I felt like he embodied the character the most believably.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's not a word.
No, it is. I think
Believably?
maybe not.
Believability?
Yeah, your believability. Yeah, I get that.
I think he was the most believable out of all the characters.
Okay. I like that.
Otherwise,
That was about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Seemed to be pretty good.
Well, I mean...
For acting.
Yeah, I came up with a 3.5. I would have rated it lower, but JPC really stole the show.
He did. He took the whole movie over the edge for me.
I literally wrote down he lifted up almost every other performer, and without him in this movie, I might have given the acting a 2.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed like everybody was disinterested or not involved, or they didn't care, or they weren't as believable as he was.
Yes, and for me, I used that information because I also agree. I used that information for a different category.
Okay,
So
cool.
maybe we
might cross section right
Yeah.
there too. Okay. So the next one was writing/dialogue.
Yes.
Overall, I gave it a 2.5. Like I said, even though this is a Stephen King adaptation, which I think is, you were saying it was written in 1975, maybe it's not as believable as it was today. I mean, there's still Stephen King movies that are out there that are great. In fact, we're going to do one on another podcast coming up, Room 1408.
Was that Stephen King?
It's based on a short story by Stephen King.
Oh.
So it's, when you get into stuff like that, you kind of have a base of what the dialogue should be. But it seemed like it didn't have any real character development. There wasn't any, there's no believability like we talked about earlier. And it just lacked overall depth. For me, I wrote down, it just seemed like the writers thought, people will watch anything inspired by Stephen King. let's phone it in.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I came out with that specifically.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. For writing and dialogue, I gave it a 1.
Okay, there you go. Nice.
So it seemed like they were telling the story in facts or, I don't know, descriptions. It felt like there was no emotion in the lines.
Yeah.
And I think this is going kind of back to category 2. I think the actors did a good job with the words they were given. I think it would have been very difficult for less astute actors to be saying the lines, because the lines itself, if you were reading them on a paper, they seem very basic.
That makes sense.
It's kind of like, to me, it reminded me of them using the book for the story and then phoning it in for the dialogue. I don't know, put it in ChatGPT. Where's it going next? Okay, tell the character to tell this person this, so that now we can like make the way to this other location.
Right.
Okay, now tell that character to tell this character. Okay, now we're going to tell a little bit about that person's backstory, but not too much, because we don't actually care and we don't really want to get you invested.
Sure.
But we're still telling the story.
Right.
Anyway, so mine was 1.
No, all of that makes complete sense. I think you took the acting category and applied it to this, and it works both ways.
Okay.
The only reason why I think I disagree with you just slightly is because JPC, even though he was fed these terrible lines, was awesome.
He did a fantastic job.
And I felt like the other people, maybe like you said, maybe they weren't as seasoned, or maybe they haven't been in a ton of stuff. It just seemed like, I don't know, they were just reading lines.
Yeah, and I feel like you're right, because it seemed like that. You're right. So I guess I was associating that with the writing, rather like the lines that they had to read, rather than the actor acting out the lines.
Yeah, I think both really struggled in this movie. Because the rest of the cast outside of JPC, I wouldn't say, if I knew that they were in another movie, I wouldn't run out to go see it or watch it. But if that JPC was in something, I might be like, wow, I want to see that.
Yes.
And so
I agree.
I think sometimes acting can overcome writing, but I agree with you. It kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, and then it makes the actor look bad, because even if they're trying their hardest, like if they were less seasoned actors in this than the ones that were in there,
then it would have been a dumpster fire.
I don't think we would have kept watching it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think we would have kept watching after 15 to 20 minutes. We would have turned it off.
Yeah, I agree.
So the actors, to me, did a really good job trying to act believable.
Okay. All right.
But that's me. I'm not trying to convince you either way.
No.
We all have our opinions.
That's right. Okay, the next one is direction, and I will let you go with this category.
I gave this one a 2.
Okay.
And I felt like there were a lot of, I guess everything goes back to the writing with this, but I feel like there were a lot of overhead drone shots of him driving. Was this movie? I'm not mixing up movies, right?
No, you're not mixing up movies. I thought you would save that for visuals, but either way is totally fine.
Oh, because I was going to say it about another one, too.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so the direction, I think they used a lot of overhead drone shots and took a lot of time filming things.
Okay.
Rather than speaking.
Right.
Because their script was so minimal, they had to elongate the film as long as they could. So they're like, oh, let's just show him driving and put a song behind it, and we're just going to have him drive for 3 minutes instead of 30 seconds in other movies.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
And then, yeah, I guess a lot of my reviews go back into the writing. Yeah. So I apologize.
No, that's the way that you see it. So I'm glad that you see it one way and I see it the other. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Direction overall for me was 3. The director, Gary Dauberman, he also wrote the script for and directed Annabelle Comes Home.
Ooh.
And he was a writer on It. I thought both of those movies were better than this.
I
But
agree.
I said, I guess, since he was a writer on it and he was the one who directed it, I guess he achieved his overall vision for it because he still released it for people to watch.
Was he the sole writer on this?
No, he was not the sole writer because they gave credit to Stephen King as well.
But he was the screenplay writer.
I think so. It just says they gave him writing credit.
Oh.
So that's the reason why I said 3.0 for his direction of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I must have fulfilled whatever his vision was for it.
That makes sense.
So I was like, it's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and final category. Would you like me to go, or would you like to go?
You can go.
Okay, so we got visuals. I gave this one 4.1. I said it was probably the highlight of the movie for me. There was a lot of practical effects, which I told you at the very beginning. I kind of like that a lot.
I do too, because I went to school for it.
Yeah, so there you go.
Hire more makeup artists.
Yeah, exactly.
FX artists.
There you go.
Anyway, continue.
Got to help those people out in the industry. There wasn't as much CGI as a lot of other movies that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes, kind of like what you referenced, that it showed, and then also the other scene that you kind of referenced when they're in the morgue, because that's where it is. Those things were really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And like I said, it just kind of, the visuals for me kept me on the edge of my seat. I do agree with you. There's a lot of, what do they call that? Scenery shots. And overhead drone shots. But for me, it didn't distract as much because I liked everything else that I was seeing because it was like real and like it felt like it was a set, and I like that.
I agree. I gave the visuals a 3.
Okay.
I liked the visuals, and you mentioned the overhead drone shot. And see, I guess I do like the overhead drone shots. I like a lot of the way they filmed it. I just don't like the length of time they took using it. You know what I mean?
I think that goes, once again, I think that goes back to your writing.
Directing.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you were saying there was no, because you said there was no.
So I should have given 3s and 4s in every category, and writing is 0.
No. It just, like you said, there wasn't a whole lot to be said. So that, but it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, like they needed to fill time with something interesting, and the visuals were great. Like I really enjoyed the light scenes, and then. I mean, there was a lot of bright scenes like filmed during the day or in some place that had lighting. But when it was the nighttime scenes or the dark scenes, I don't know if it's our TV or if it's just filmed very dark.
I think they've said a lot of stuff is filmed dark these days.
Because, yes, I don't know. I wrote down, let's see what I said. Oh, especially in the boat, like at the very beginning when the boat... Well, the coffin gets like hit into the box.
Yeah.
When the crate gets hit into the boat, or it gets thrown into the boat.
Yeah.
It's like it shows you something small at the bottom, and you think something's like falling out of it.
Right.
But you can't really tell, so I don't know if that was intentional. Maybe they didn't really want us to see something.
Well, I think a lot of times now what it seems is that they use darkness to kind of create more mystery because it leaves you guessing a little bit much.
Okay.
But I get where you're coming from. It seems like a lot of movies these days, there's a lot of dark scenes that are in things. I mean, when you look at Game of Thrones, right? That one scene where they're fighting the White Walkers, you can't see anything. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yes, it's like, how much money did you put into this scene? Like, all these actors are doing things, and they have all the prop department worrying about these things, and no one can even see what's going on.
Exactly. So
I guess so. That's why I rated it a little above average, only because I liked the practical effects. I liked everything they did. I like the outside shots. I like the inside shots. Everything was great, except when it was dark. I feel like I wish I saw more.
I gotcha. Okay. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. But, I mean, the dark scenes weren't a huge part of the movie. I mean, it was less than half.
Well, but to be honest, if it catches your attention, that's the reason why you got to rate it that way.
Yeah. I guess I just like being able to see everything.
That makes sense. All right. You want to go with your overall score?
Yes. My overall score is a 2.8 out of 5.
Okay. All right. Any so 2.8, would you recommend it or not?
Based on my Overall score of 2.8. I might round it up to a 3.
Okay.
I wouldn't say if you're looking for like a great Friday or Saturday night movie, I might go with something else. But if it's like a movie for a random Thursday, I don't know. I think it's good.
Okay.
I would recommend it if you're not looking for a blockbuster. I don't know.
Fair enough. I gave it a 3.18. I think I had the visuals a little bit higher, and maybe I think the directing a little bit higher, just because I didn't know. I think if you're a fan of the novel, or if you like
Vampires,
if you really enjoy vampires, check it out. You only need to see it once. It's not a movie that you're ever going to watch again, or at least I wouldn't necessarily watch it again.
But it's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's not like the best movie we've seen.
Yeah. If you don't really like those things, I would say skip this one and find a better movie to watch with an hour and 53 minutes of your time.
Oh, is that how long it was?
That's how long it was.
Yeah, it could have been an hour and 15.
Yeah.
With the dialogue. For the amount of dialogue, I think.
So yeah, if you had an hour and 53 minutes to watch something different, maybe check something different out. As a recommendation, maybe our 30 Days of Night. That one is kind of an old school throwback.
In the Tall Grass.
In the Tall Grass. Yeah, just, those are just a couple to
Pet
throw
Cemetery?
out there.
I'm kidding. I've never seen it.
Well, and also I don't know if people don't want to watch vampire movies. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it a vampire movie?
I said
if
they didn't.
Movie?
Yeah, I don't. Neither one. All right. So that's it. We'll be back next week with another review. What are we doing next week, Beeps?
Caddo Lake.
Oh, that's right, Caddo Lake. Another pretty interesting movie. So we'll.
You gotta check back in next time.
You gotta tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out.
That's it. Well, thank you so much. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for listening. And please keep listening and keep safe out there.
And send us an email with any movie recommendations. I know you said it at the beginning, but I'll say it again.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, have a fantastic night.
Good night. Good night. Good morning.
Whatever. I mean, I don't know.
We'll see you later.
Send us an email. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Okay.
Here you go. It's your shot. If you fail, you not. This is maybe the only opportunity that I got.
Watch Salem's Lot on Max.
Exactly.
Streaming on Max.
Streaming on Max alone.